Let's bring in former Eagles second-round pick and former Eagles offensive line, Barrett Brooks, who does a great job now on NBC Sports Philadelphia, analyzing the Birds. Barrett, how's it going? Thanks for joining us.
I'm good. I'm still tripping off last night, man. It just bothered me so much. Not necessarily that they lost, but the way in which they lost. I would have never thought in a million years our team would get dominated in the trenches the way we did. They ran on us when they wanted to. They stopped the offense when they felt like it. This game was really telling as far as if they need to go see the Wizard. Do they need to go get a heart, man? Because to be demoralized like that, that's the worst thing you can do to a defense is run the ball and you can do nothing about it. I mean, that's terrible. And then on the opposite side of the ball, the way our offensive line is playing, it just doesn't make sense to me. We've invested so much money on that side of the ball, and to lose the way we lost is really disheartening.
It certainly is, and we talked about it at the start of the show that the Eagles, they bring back 10 of their 11 starters from the Super Bowl team on offense. They have the highest paid offense in the National Football League. They have way too much talent. So, Barrett, to simplify it, what would you say is there a singular issue that you see? I mean, you know this game inside and out. Is there a singular issue that you see as the problem here, or is it just a culmination of everything?
It's the discipline. There is no discipline on this team. And that bothers me because Nick Sirianni teams have always been disciplined. They made too many turnovers 3 years ago. And the next year, they had, 4 turnovers during the regular season? That comes from having discipline and understanding what you have to do to be great. They've been to the mountaintop. They know what it is to be great. They understand how to cross their T's and dot their I's. And for them to go out there and make as many mental mistakes, pre-snap mistakes, that's the biggest thing because they take no athleticism. All they have to do is you jump off sides, you line up in the wrong way. Those are the things that kill you, because now you're against the sticks. This offense has to be on time for it to work efficiently. That means, getting at least 5 yards on first down. So now when you get to third down, third and short is much more manageable than they've been, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10. And there's not too many plays you can keep running to really, keep the offense going. So they've been 3 out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. That's been their theme. They got double the plays ran on them yesterday. Double the plays. The time possession was horrible. I mean, that first quarter, they had over 100 yards rushing in the first quarter alone.
Yeah, that hasn't happened in forever. And the defense, it was one of the worst defensive performances, at least against the run, in Eagles history. And it was the worst in 10 years. It was, 281 they allowed? It was awful.
Oh, awful. I mean, and Swift, Swift is a former guy. He played for us. And we let him go.
Yeah, and he's from here, and there's probably a chip on his shoulder, and any great athlete will use anything as motivation. I mean, Jalen Hurts still has the Super Bowl loss to the Chiefs on his phone from a couple years ago as motivation. You're like, they just won, but these were what great athletes do. But when I look at this football team, Jason Kelce said it the other day, kind of to your point, that the offensive line is crippling the offense and everything going on. So if you could come in and just wave a magic wand, Barrett, what is your solution to fixing these issues? You have 10 days between games now with that Monday night game in LA on Monday Night Football against the LA Chargers. You have 5 games left overall. This is a Super Bowl team. When you look at it with talent, what is it going to take to fix this? What would your fix be here?
It's nothing physical. I mean, they still have the best roster in the NFL. And people look at me like, oh, you crazy. What are you talking about? They just got dominated like that. Well, it doesn't still, change the fact that they have a great receiving core when they can use them the right way. The offensive line, all right, at this point, they haven't been playing well because, they have their all-world right tackle. He's out. So, that's where. But, guys like Cam Jurgens right now. Cam is playing on one leg. And it's not giving us really an opportunity to be successful a lot of the times because he's getting pushed back. He's not able to get to the second level like he used to. He's not able to, push off the ball because his power angles aren't there. He's playing straight-legged. And I love, he's doing it, he's out there, trying to win one for the Gipper. He's trying to go out there and give his best. But right now, I don't think his best is good enough on the field because he's injured. He's not the all-pro caliber player that he was last year. He's probably 75 to 80%. And, but he's still trying to go out there and will his team to win. We're getting put in positions where they're just not successful because they're not doing things the right way. Meaning, they're not running the ball successfully. They're not doing a lot of stuff right. So, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Nick Sirianni was asked point blank last night, are you going to make a change at offensive coordinator? And he said no. Absolutely not. Could he change his mind? Of course. But Nick Sirianni, he said it's not on Kevin Patulla. One, do you agree? And two, do you have to take the approach where you have to consider a change, even though it's not his fault, to just get this offense, find a spark? Look, this situation kind of backfired on the defensive side a few years ago when they took away play calling duties from Sean Desai, and they had Matt Patricia do it after that 10-1 start, and then it was a whole meltdown, and they lost against the Bucs in the playoffs, and that was just a mess. What would you do here with the Kevin Patulla front? Eagles fans leaving the link last night, fire Kevin, fire Kevin. Is that fair? Where do you stand on the Kevin Patulla front?
Unlike everybody else, I don't think firing Kevin is going to do anything to it, because you can still have the same play call, have another play caller in there, and they can still continue to play undisciplined football. It doesn't matter. The gap discipline on the defensive side of the ball was horrendous. Guys started freestyling, trying to make plays. You don't do that. You got to work within the scheme work of the defense. You have to make sure that you're running what the defense requires. So if that's your gap, stay in your gap. Don't try to cover your gap and somebody else's gap. That's when the gap integrity gets, ruined in the defense, and that's exactly what they did yesterday. They picked holes, and the guys, left the gap, in a swift touchdown. That's exactly what happened. Jalen jumped out his gap. Jalen Carter jumped out of his gap, jumped outside, freestyling, opened up, a cavernous, hole, and he just ran. I could have ran through it. So you got to stay disciplined in what you're trying to do.
You do look like you're in great shape, by the way. I do believe you that you could jump through that. You're still in amazing shape.
It's ridiculous, no? I just don't understand what is going on, Jeff.
Yeah, and I don't know if Nick Sirianni.
How you can coach discipline. How do you coach discipline? It has to be something that's ingrained in you. That has to be something that's been coached in you all season. You don't just all of a sudden become disciplined. It has to be something that's worked on throughout the season. And because they're not disciplined now, they're going to continue to be, and they're going to continue to lose games, lose the war in the trenches, lose, games that they shouldn't lose.
Yeah, it is shocking. And look, I don't want to overreact to what Nick said last night, where he said we're searching for answers, and I kind of wish I knew, what it was. And I don't want to put too much into that and go, oh, he doesn't know what's going on. I don't. He probably does know what's going on and what the issues are exactly, but fixing them is a whole different thing. And look, the Eagles are going to get everyone's best shot. You saw the way the Bears reacted. Caleb Williams running off the field, going nuts. Ben Johnson in the locker room last night, ripping off his shirt and flexing as if they just won a Super Bowl. The Eagles are getting everyone's best shot, and they're getting some tough teams in here, and it is hard to repeat. And I don't want to sound like this team is, 4-8 versus 8-4, or they've won 2 games. But at the same time, something is off. And when you look at the quarterback, and I'm sure you got some great insight last night on the postgame show. You guys do a great job on NBC Sports Philadelphia on the postgame show. I'm sure Ron Jaworski had some great insight, not only last night, but this season, about the quarterback situation. Jalen Hurts, who I think, and many others I have spoken with, believe he has one of the best deep balls in the NFL, but this season, his accuracy and things just look off. We saw it in the Lions game. We saw it against the Cowboys. We saw it last night. He's missing guys. He's throwing behind guys. Guys are wide open. He doesn't see them. Brian Dable, before he was fired by the Giants, made a comment during one of his press conferences. He's like, yeah, A.J. Brown's, he's open a lot. And everyone went, whoa, wait, what, really? What are you seeing from the quarterback situation? What are you hearing about what's going on with Jalen Hurts? He just, from the naked eye, looks off.
He is off, and right now, he's the captain of that ship. He has to be playing at a higher level. Period. He has to do more. There are guys open within the offense and how the offense is run. There are guys open he's just not hitting. The throw behind that he had with Devontae was That's something you got to have. That's got to be textbook. That's got to be something that, he does every single day.
Are you talking about the 3rd and 8? I don't want to cut you off, but are you talking about the 3rd and 8? It was like 13 to go. And so the one, Richard Sherman brought this up on the Amazon broadcast, and we talked about it earlier. Dallas Goedert was wide open up the middle. He didn't even look at him, and he just went left, right to Devontae. Now, look, you played the game.
And you know what? And Jeff, let me piggyback that. That's where we should have been going with the ball anyway. Four guys that started for their defense at the linebacker position were out. The 2 starters and the 2 backups were out. So what do? If you're playing with 5th and 6th string guys at the linebacker position, the middle of the field should be open. We should have went to Dallas Goedert all day. All day. He was open all day in the middle of the field. So if we are going to pass the ball, go to where their weakness is. Instead, we're trying to push it down the field, trying to, force slants. No. Take advantage of what's in front of you. And that's what's in front. He was wide open on the play. The previous game against Dallas, the same thing. So many mistakes. And, Dallas Goedert had 2 great plays, got nullified because of penalties. And then turn around this game, he should have been targeted the entirety of the game, and we didn't even use him.
Yeah, and so what's interesting to me is, some people, I pointed that out last night, and I showed the screenshot of Dallas highlighted wide open. It was that 3rd and 8. It ended up leading to the field goal. They're in Bears territory, 13, I believe 12 on the clock in the second quarter. Dallas is wide open. Now, I do want to preface this by saying the Bears had a 7-man front, and so they had 7 guys at the line of scrimmage. And Barrett, you protected quarterbacks your entire NFL career. Guys were going to take Jalen Hurts' head off, and he doesn't have time to go through his reads. And even, most of the season, Jalen Hurts has had, I think, league high 2.7 seconds to, get the ball out, more time than any other quarterback. At the same time, when you have the Bears, a 7-man front coming at you, maybe disguising who's going to drop back, who's going to steamroll you, to go, I don't have time to go through my progressions. And if Devontae Smith is your first route and he's your first read, you don't have time to find Dallas. And maybe that, hey, okay, Dallas, it's going to take him another move. I don't have time to get it to Dallas, and I don't want to just throw it up in a no man's land. So people have been, coming back at me on X and social media. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. But walk me through that entire play. Does a quarterback have enough time there? Did you believe on that play that Jalen did have enough time to get to Dallas? Because the screenshot and the play, Dallas wasn't looking back at Jalen. That first read, he went right to Devontae.
Well, even if he did go to Devontae, you just got to throw a better ball. He had enough time to throw that ball and put an accurate throw to Devontae. Let's not take away from that. Devontae was open. And he was right there. All he had to do was throw a ball that can get to him. Yes, he had somebody in his face, but you get paid to do that. The $250 billion man. You get paid to do that. You get paid to, if you got to take a hit, you got to take a hit. That's what your job is. That's what you're paid to do. Those guys up front are paid to block. Those guys are paid to catch. They get paid to do this. So, excuses aside, that's your job. And I get paid to break down the game. So when I see these things, I understand, yes, there's a bunch of things that, are happening during a game. But you still get paid to make things happen. And he's a good enough quarterback that he should have made that throw. My expectation is if he was a regular quarterback, then all right, then I can give him some grace. All right, he didn't make it. But no, damn it, you are an NFL quarterback, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, an MVP Super Bowl quarterback. So you've got to make that pass play. You've got to hold on the ball when you're going to twist push. That's what you can't do that. You've done a tremendous job the last 2 years of not creating turnovers. You have 2 in one game. And I love the fact, in the post game, he said, well, I tried to, give AJ an opportunity to make the pass, to catch the pass. He saw Kevin Barrett coming over, and he forced it anyways, and it was a pick. He took it on the chin. He accepted responsibility of it. But still, you're an MVP Super Bowl quarterback. You won a Super Bowl. You're the captain of this team. You still got to make things happen. You cannot do what you're doing. And we can't win unless he has better games.
I agree, and I don't know what the answer is, but it seems as if opposing defenses, including the Bears last night on Friday Night Football, Black Friday football, is that teams are stacking the box. They are going, we are taking away the run. We're not going to let Saquon Barkley beat us. We're going to let Jalen Hurts beat us. And that's what it appears to be. And I know there's way more to it, but it just appears to be they're taking away the run. They're going, Saquon's not going to beat us. Saquon only has one 100-yard rushing game this season. That was a $150 against the Giants, and that Giants win. They're taking it away, and they're saying, let Jalen beat us. And that is causing, it seems as if, a huge issue this season where, for whatever reason, Jalen is just not able to get it to his guys. And now it seems like the last 2 weeks, they are just forcing it but to A.J. Brown because he's been complaining. But let's just talk about one thing at a time here.
And producing, though. He's producing.
No, I know, but fine. Let's talk about the A.J. thing. He's complaining. He is producing the last 2 weeks, and they lose. So who cares? And that's been my point all along going into these last 2 weeks. AJ, be quiet.
Right.
And be quiet, you're winning. And I get it as a receiver. You want the ball, but they were winning. And now it's like, okay, we're forcing AJ. AJ has his numbers. He has his targets. He has his catches. He has his stats. And guess what? They lost. They look terrible. Yeah. Are they forcing the ball to AJ Brown too much?
I don't think that's the case.
Really?
Just like you said, everybody's stacking the box, 7, 8 men in the box. And I get it. It's hard to run the ball. But I'm also going to throw it out there that this last game, we stacked the box against the Bears. We ran 7-man fronts, 8-man fronts against the Bears. We had every single offensive line. We call it a bear front. When you cover the center and both guards with a nose guard and 2 tackles, then you have 2 guys on the outside, defensive lineman on the outside. Then you have 2 linebackers and a safety in the box. And they still pounded the rock down our throat. Why? Because it's a mindset. And until this team changes their mindset, they will continue to have this lack of success. Running the ball is a mental attitude. I won a Super Bowl by running we ran probably 60% of the time, Super Bowl XL. That year, I think the ratio was 430 to 570. Something crazy. It was almost almost 200 carries more than we had pass plays. And we won a Super Bowl because we had a mindset. Everybody stacked the box. This offensive line should be good enough, no matter how many people they put in there. Block who's in front of you and make it happen. Guys like Jordan Mailata shouldn't miss blocks. You shouldn't. Landon Dickerson shouldn't miss blocks. Yeah, healthy Cam Jurgen, I doubt, will miss blocks. Tyler Steen, he's playing well, but you can't miss block because it becomes ongoing. One guy misses a block here, another guy misses a block there, another guy misses a block there. Then it's 3 and out. That's something we can't have. And that's the lack of discipline on their approach to the game. That's a mental thing. And until they change that mental, this team will continue to have the lack of success they've been dealing with the past, not just 4 games, but this entire season.
Is it naive to say that this football team can just figure this out with 5 games to go, or do you think it's just not fixable at this point?
Jeff, it's fixable. But they have to change the mindset. I'll be honest, like I said, they need to go to the Wizards. They got to go find a heart. That's it, and they can get mad at me all they want. I don't care because I know, and I've been in a position they've been in. I've won a Super Bowl also. I played 12 years in the NFL. I've been, through, countless seasons. In fact, I had my last year in Philadelphia. Dana Bible was our offensive coordinator. He got axed actually it was the San Diego game, San Diego Chargers at the time. They were San Diego Chargers. They took his play calling duties, and Bill Musgrave, who was a quarterback the previous season, became our offensive coordinator. He was a quarterback coach. He became our offensive coordinator.
So what kind of message?
For the rest of the season.
Yeah. So what kind of message, Barrett, does that send inside a locker room? If you can take us back to that Dana Bible situation, everyone's calling for Kevin Patulla's head, at least the fans and a lot of media members and analysts and experts and yada yada yada. What kind of message does that send inside the locker room? And obviously, this is a different locker room than the one you played in. But what do you think message it sends there?
That's why they can't do it. They can't do it because this is not the same situation. Yeah, Kevin Patulla is the offensive coordinator, but he's running Nick Sirianni's offense. You're going to take him away and still run the same offense. If Nick Sirianni goes and calls a play, he's going to be calling Nick Sirianni's offense. So to me, it doesn't make sense. But when you look at it, as a player, you've got to make your coach right sometimes. If he calls a bad call, go out there and execute what the play call, and 9 times out of 10, it could be a successful play. You got to make the coach right. They have to play better individually as players before they can think about making any changes to the offensive schemes or anything else. They are playing horrible. Man to a man, this team are losing the individual matchups that they have out there. And that's why they're losing. It's not play calling. It's not that.
Yeah,
it's jumping off sides.
Yeah.
Pre-snap penalties, everything. They're just not playing good football to the man.
Yeah, I mean, I think it surprised many last night that Nick Sirianni's like, no, it's not Kevin's fault. And you know, listen, could Howie Roseman or owner Jeffrey Lurie come in and go, you need to make a change? We saw what happened a few years ago on the defensive side, and maybe that season would have turned out that way anyway, but it just felt like maybe it was a panic or whatever it was. But I don't know if it sent the best message inside the locker room. And maybe Nick learned from that, and the Eagles learned from that, and they go, we're not going to make the same mistake twice. And even though it's a different situation and different team, Nick's going to go on his experiences and go, I'm not going to go through that again. I saw what it did to the football team. And maybe he does truly believe that Patulla is the right guy, and it's all these other reasons, like you're saying, starting up front, the mental thing, the focus, the mentality, and it's just not Kevin Patulla.
Jeff, that's exactly what he's thinking. And he's right by that, because when they made the change back when I experienced in 95, well, it was 98, that's exactly what happened. They guys started freestyling. That was a 3-13 football team. We went 3-13, and I mean it's a travesty that this team is so good. There's so much money invested on the opposite side of the ball. They should be scoring 30 points a game with the athletes they have. Saquon Barkley, they're trying to say, oh, he fell off. No, he did not fall off. When last year, he was averaging 3 yards before he even got contact past the line of scrimmage. Now he's getting hit in the backfield. That was a combo block with Jordan Mailata and Dallas Goedert. And Dallas and they just totally whiffed on the play, and the guy came in and hit Saquon in the back, 3 yards in the back for a tackle for loss. That's just not having chemistry. That's just not, that's not executing the play. There are too many times where I see guys standing around on the offense. I'm going to challenge everybody. Go back and watch the film and see how many guys are standing around, and look at other teams where there's nobody standing around. They're trying to finish plays. We don't finish plays. That's a mentality thing. You got to finish plays, and they don't finish plays.
Before I let you go, Barrett, we're talking with Barrett Brooks, does a great job on NBC Sports Philadelphia, former Eagles and NFL offensive lineman. I want to ask you about the end of the game last night. It appeared controversial. Now, half the stadium's empty. People just cleared out. They had had enough of that game, which shocked me, by the way. People were leaving in the third quarter it was a 1-point game at that point. But
right.
I want to specifically talk about last night, the controversial decision that Nick Sirianni made, and I want to get your thought on this. There is 3:10 to go. A.J. Brown scores the second touchdown, and they decide to go for the 2-point conversion. They're down 9. So I'm going to paint the picture. Eagles are down 24-15, 3:10 on the clock. They had just scored the A.J. Brown touchdown, down 9. They have all 3 timeouts left, plus the 2-minute warning. But instead, Nick Sirianni goes for the 2-point conversion. People are just really upset about this. They don't understand it. I don't understand it when I just go through everything. I want to get your take on, do you agree with the decision that Nick made to go for 2 there? Because if you kick the extra point, it's within 8, and it's a 1-possession game. So I want to get your take. What do you think was the right decision there? What Nick Sirianni did, or should he have just kicked the extra point?
I'd have kicked the field goal, but I mean, they did miss one. I mean,
sure.
and we haven't even talked about that. They missed a field goal.
Do you understand? But do you understand what Nick did? Or I don't understand it.
I don't understand it either. I'd have kicked the field goal, and I think that would put a lot more pressure on Chicago the next possession also, that they would have to go do something. Maybe they have to force them into a mistake. But once they kicked that field goal, they knew they had it won. From that point on, they didn't have to worry about it because now they were a 2-possession game instead of a 1-possession game. You kick the field goal, then you go out there, trust your defense, who has started playing better towards that time. They started playing a little better, just a little bit. I mean, they got beat by a play action where the tight end got, out there past Blankenship, but they were still playing well enough that I would have said they would have, been able to stop them. And they went down there and scored. It just changed the whole dynamics on how Chicago thought and how we throw.
Yeah, I just don't understand it because the odds of getting the onside kick, you're then forced to go for the onside kick there, which is extremely difficult, even harder in today's with the new kickoff rules, I think, than in the years past. So I don't understand because you have 3:10 left. Let's say you get the extra point, assuming you get it, and you're within 8. It's a 1-score game. You don't have to do the onside kick. You can kick it deep. The Bears are down in their own territory. Again, you have the 3 timeouts plus a 2-minute warning, and hopefully you get the ball back. And then if you score again, you can go for the 2-point conversion. Then your odds are, even if you have to burn all those timeouts and the 2-minute warning, you're in control of the clock because you have possession of the football, hopefully. I just don't understand it. But Greg Olsen, the Fox NFL broadcaster, he went online last night on X, and he was just going, it's not debatable. You absolutely do what Nick Sirianni did. And I don't understand that. Are we able to pull up those tweets to show Barrett? Barrett, did you see what Greg Olsen said?
I heard about it, but I still don't think that it was the right decision. To me, it wasn't the right decision.
Yeah, I don't understand. He says it's not debatable. I guess I don't understand. And Nick Sirianni talked about it, I want to know how many basically possessions I need and this and that. It just was baffling because you go, all right, you're down 9. You could have been down 8. You score another touchdown. And these are all what ifs. And I don't want to say it's the reason they lost the game, but there's just been a couple decisions. You're just going, man, what are they doing? I just don't understand.
Another thing, Jeff, we also got to put this in perspective. He believes in his players. Even though his players gave nothing to believe about the entire game, he still has a lot of confidence in his players and their ability to go out there and play and make those things happen. He believes in his players, and that's the only thing I'll give him. It's almost, blind faith. He believes in his players that much, and I think that's the biggest thing with when you're dealing with Coach Sirianni. He believes in it so much, and I think that's the biggest thing. So to him, he wasn't worried about it. He believes in his players being able to go out there and execute. They just didn't do it for him. They didn't make him right, but he just has, that belief in his guys, and that's the biggest thing.
He believes. I don't know if Eagles fans believe, but do you believe? Do you believe at 5 games to go they are magically going to figure this out? Do you believe, Barrett, that this football team, as bad as it has looked the last 2 weeks, the last 4 weeks, the entire season, at any point you want to pick, are they going to figure it out?
I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't know. I mean, you talk about that blind faith. I do believe they're going to get it right. I do believe that they're going to make it and go far into the playoffs. They're going to figure out what they need to do because they're a championship team, number one. They have a great roster, number 2. And a lot of people say, how can you believe in this roster? They've done nothing. Well, I mean, I've seen it. I've seen that same roster win a Super Bowl. So I'm still believing their ability to go out there and influence games better than what they've been doing. I think that they can win. I think they will win. They're going to rewrite the ship, and, they're going to be fine going into these next 4 games. They're going to have a tough one out there in L.A. this next weekend, but I think this is going to be the starting point. I'm hoping it's going to be the starting point, and I just bleed green, and that's, the blind faith that I have. But, I mean, I truly believe Nick Sirianni can get these guys going in the right direction.
Barrett, we love the insight, and I hope you are right that they figure this out. It's, of course, so much more fun when they are winning. Even when they're winning, by the way, people are still complaining, but that's another side note. But Barrett, great insight, former Eagles offensive lineman, Super Bowl champion. He knows how hard it is to win back-to-back Super Bowls. Does a great job on NBC Sports Philadelphia on their post-game show. Barrett Brooks, thank you so much for joining us on Bet Park Saturdays.
Thanks a lot, Jeff. I really appreciate it.
All right, great having you. There is